I just hit Marcus.
I hit him.
Down.
Another one skipping down too.
In the car, they have a trophy. Oh no.
He is one shot around the car.
One left. With sniper.
He rose.
Self-revive.
Dude. Did you dick on him?
Yeah, I did.
You got blood on your visor, bro.
That guy had the.
Oh wait, I just alt F4'd my game.
I just thought I thought we got sniped. You had 11 cheese on you too. Wait, you alt F4'd?
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Chad. No, sorry for not uploading yesterday. I was a lot busier than I expected to be, and I mean, I still got a little bit of time to do things, you know, that I needed to do anyway. It was just kind of like by the time I got done with the things that I needed to do, I would still have to like record and edit and all that other shit. It's all boring shit. No one really cares. You know what it is. Like, I'm not gonna be going out doing anything interesting anyway, not during this shit. So you already know. There was a patch that ended up coming out yesterday that ended up fixing that whole underbarrel shotgun for the FAMAS that was like super broken for basically just a day or two. Then they nerfed the Bruin again. I played last night after this, you know, another Bruin nerf. Yeah, it's weaker and it's worse overall, but I mean, just finding it on the ground and just like, you know, picking it up and everything as far as like early game and everything, it's still pretty good. You're probably not going to see nearly as many people running around with it and stuff. Upper torso damage is down, increased recoil, has more increased recoil with the 60 round mag. But I still saw people lasering with that thing yesterday, so I mean, you know, you can build basically every single gun in this game to 0 recoil if you try hard enough. So I mean, it all basically comes down to damage and how much you even bother to want to use your brain using it. ISO doesn't have the movement speed penalty for the drum mags as much. It was like 10%, now it's like not nearly as much, it's like half or something. Increase ADS movement speed, so it kind of falls under that whole like P90 thing. I wonder how good it would be with like the strap that the P90 has, because I use that for a little bit. I run the strap with the blue dot on there, the GI mini reflex or whatever, just any reflex. Super clean, not that rangy or whatever, but it's very, very clean for like mid and close range. And Sawed Off just got a random hit for whatever reason. Maybe it was like really strong in search or some shit, I don't know. Small increase to ADS time, small decrease to movement speed, reduced close lethal range damage. I was playing Warzone last night. I was playing with Dirty and Scope, and shout out to those dudes because they stayed on for like an extra hour or so getting these challenges done with me. So officer challenges, by the way, I completed all of them. We're all done here. Actually finished it pretty early into this season. Not the fastest I've ever done it, but yeah, this is the emblem right here. Season 5, 10. The rumor was that there actually wasn't going to be any more seasons after this. I imagine there would be more seasons, but the rumor was basically it was the final season, you know? Because that's all that was found in the files. From the beginning of the game, everybody had all of the, what we thought were prestige emblems, but they turned out to be the officer emblems or whatever. Smosh Pit mode is so painful. I actually don't like any of the maps except kind of Sawmill and sometimes Candor Hideout. This emblem is probably one of my favorites. The Season 0 emblem is also one of my favorites as well. I mean, so Season 0, I love this one. This was just the first one that I ever unlocked. I thought it was just super cool when I got it. Season 1 looks all right. Season 2, which is technically Season 3. Got Season 3s, Season 4, and now Season 5. And we got a Zero Cave 6. So all those challenges are done. I really thought I was basically completely done with the game at that point. I figured, obviously, since Warzone's gonna be sticking around, I gotta play it at least a little bit more. And I've been having a good time, especially with that Car 98. The Car 98 is dumb strong. Like, if you get really consistent with those headshots, I know obviously easier said than done, but if you get really consistent with those headshots, man, in Warzone, that shit is also at a certain close range and everything. If you're running around with like an SMG secondary or something, you could literally just blow someone's armor off immediately with the car, swap, and then just melt their regular HP. I know that if I keep playing Warzone more and more, the stats are just gonna get better, and I know that the lobbies are gonna get worse and worse. But I already queue with people on a regular basis that have like fucking 4 or 5.0s and shit like that, so it's just, there's higher ones out there, but for like, you know, the average lobby getting in around those KD numbers, it starts getting, yeah, as the KDs go higher and higher, so does the perspiration. So speaking of things getting sweatier and sweatier, there was somebody that ended up putting out a bunch of tweets. All right, so this guy, guy Tom Henderson is apparently a previously accurate source. So Dexbot ends up tweeting out like his hopes and dreams for Black Ops Cold War, and one of them he mentions that they reduce skill-based matchmaking. That was his hope. He wanted skill-based matchmaking to be slightly reduced. Maybe not completely removed, but at least reduced. This guy quotes it and says, skill-based matchmaking in Black Ops is exactly the same as Modern Warfare. It's the same system. And I know a lot of people like to make the arguments of like, oh, if you're dying a whole bunch and you're losing and you're this and you're that, maybe you're the bad player or blah, blah, blah. But there's clear discrepancies and people are just arguing. See, Flak Jacket, I would have lived. I spent an entire perk slot for that to do nothing. I don't give a shit if that did hit me. I should be able to catch that shit with my bare hands. I mean, I understand skill-based matchmaking. I understand the entire system that they're going with. Clearly, it's fucking working, but, I mean, it's not so much just the system by itself. It's how the system is even communicated to people, because they don't even talk about it or anything like that. And since we have no ranking, it's always going to be a conversation. Then again, it might also be the case that if they did add the rankings in there, which they're scared of or something, then they'd have to sit there and pay attention to his system. I don't know. There are other games with ranking systems that constantly have to get tweaks and other things like that. And certain levels of gameplay need different tweaks in different areas, and then the game gets ridiculously complex from it because the game is being played at such different levels. It's the same tired shit, you already know, but the fact that it's coming back again, but this time around with Treyarch maps and everything, I mean, I feel like a lot of people are just going to be playing Warzone anyway. I'm not really sure if people are more intimidated by the price tag or just the experience of multiplayer gameplay. Like, sure, I mean, I guess the preference could just be BR and BR only and nothing else, but BR is the wave. It has been for the past whatever amount of years, we know. I feel like multiplayer is slowly but surely going to be just phased out of the game. Like, I feel like Warzone is just going to be this game's new lifeline. I have high hopes for this Black Ops game, don't get me wrong, but having all of these systems there in place already on top of a game that's already going to struggle, just having to compete with Warzone, and it will have to compete with Warzone, unless they do it in some great way where somehow they're able to be intertwined and the one title doesn't get absolutely crushed by the other. But we've already seen that happen before with other games where they were both released with price tags, or they came with the release of a different game or something like that, and one of them usually ends up getting crushed by the other, or they both inevitably just die. I'm looking at that Modern Warfare Remastered Infinite Warfare year, by the way. Yeah, skill-based matchmaking is returning. So if you feel like you're never really getting any better at the game, that's probably why. Or maybe if you feel you've plateaued for a while, that's also probably why. You could have actually plateaued. We don't know. You could have actually gotten better, but we don't know that. We can only see your level that resets each and every single season. I have no way to really tell exactly how good you are. Shit, you can even look at the people at the top of the leaderboards for highest KDs, highest kills, highest all this stuff. I'm sure you're likely to find at least a few not as great players in that. The rankings, I would say, on those leaderboards would look a lot different if it was based on ranks instead of raw statistics. It's not like raw statistics don't have a say in anything or whatever, but if you see a guy with, you know, a 25 KDA, but they end up sitting around every single game, but they win every single game, and they still manage to play in this really, you know, safe, not as fun way to watch. You say that player is as good as somebody that's dropping maybe less kills or has a lower KD, but they're literally face rushing people, busting in the buildings, doing full-blown squad wipes. There's just a discrepancy there that the stats can't really show you. Even a ranking can't necessarily even fix that either, I guess, right? I mean, we could look at other games like that where I'm sure, like, in Rainbow Six, when people are at the highest rank or somebody is gold or whatever, there are probably better players just scattered throughout those divisions in comparison to other players. There are just better players there. Now, I mean, ultimately, that just means they don't belong in that division, right? That's part of the entire debate about, you know, this whole thing. I'm sure that they've talked about a ranking system before. It's not like they haven't done, like, a league play or whatever. They have it on this game, but it's kind of, you know. Black Ops 2 is probably the closest we've ever gotten, and it definitely could be done better. But something general like that, where you end up playing promotional games or whatever with like a set group of people or by yourself. Play whatever amount of games out, your KD and your wins and losses in comparison to whatever it is that, you know, the guys that you beat or whatever will then scale your average, quote, MMR down, or your match-made ranking, which you do technically have for this system. We have one. We just don't have a bracket that's named and shown to us. us. So it's really frustrating to people is what I'm saying. You just feel like you never really make any progress. It's like doing your job better and better, but you never get a raise or something like that. You know what I mean? What's the point of trying so hard if we're never ultimately going to be able to have a rank to be able to show for it or whatever it may be? And on top of that, since everybody wants to care about records and who's dropping the most kills and who has the craziest gameplays and shit like that, why would we be opposed to an actual ranking then, right? If you're for skill-based matchmaking, you should be for a rank. I wouldn't have nearly as much problem with it. Even if I didn't have a choice, if I basically had to play with a rank at all times, that's fine. I basically already have to play ranked without any choice anyway, so. Warzone, it's a bit more of a mixed bag. You end up getting like some players that really just are not that great at all, that somehow you wonder how they even manage to actually queue up the game. And there's other times where it's like, all right, these dudes should be on a fucking salary. It's just gonna be a whole nother year where it basically drives competitiveness though. So I mean, I'll say that's the upside of skill-based matchmaking. At least people care. There were previous years where the skill-based matchmaking wasn't nearly as bad, and it just didn't seem like anyone even really cared about how much anyone was really winning outside of the CWL, CDL, MLG, whatever. Yeah, you guys get the gist of it, man. I mean, skill-based matchmaking, if you're somebody that doesn't even really think about it, doesn't really worry about it, it's not even really a big deal, man. It's just for the people that have played the game for a long time or people that worry about skill levels and all that shit like that. The general person's not really gonna give a shit. I get it. Got the Damascus AK one. I'm still working on this AK, but to be honest, I mean, I haven't really worked on it the past couple days. I've just been doing other shit, practicing on UFC and stuff like that, trying to get better so request stuff is a bit more higher level looking. So for those of us that can, you know, feel this to whatever degree, we're in for a whole nother year of pain. For those of you that aren't worried about it, what they don't know won't hurt them.